Peace, love, blessings, and good vibes. Thank you for joining me, subscribers. Welcome back and welcome, visitors. If you like what you see, please like, share, and subscribe. All right. Now, this video will be focusing on the paranormal, um, what the paranormal is, and I'm also going to be giving some examples. But before I get into that, I want to piggyback off of my last video, Current Events 2020, where I was talking about the coronavirus. Now there has been a total of 8 confirmed states with people within those 8 states that have contracted the coronavirus. So apparently these people that have contracted the virus, they have either been to China, or they've been around someone who's been to China, or they have been to a country where the coronavirus has spread it to, and they came back to the United States. But anyway, the 8 confirmed states are Chicago, and there are 2 cases in Chicago. There's one in Everett, Washington, and that's in Washington State. That's on the West Coast. Orange County, California, there's one that has been confirmed. Los Angeles County, one has been confirmed. In Maricopa County, Arizona, I believe I'm pronouncing that right, Maricopa. Santa Clara County, California, one has been confirmed. And Boston, Massachusetts, one has been confirmed. And Santa Clara, California, or Santa Clara County, California, one has been confirmed. So it's a total of 8 people within those states, 1 apiece for the other states, and 2 in Chicago that have been diagnosed with the coronavirus. So that's 8 people total within 8 states. And this information is coming from NBC News. And also, they were talking about how the Defense Secretary, Mark Esper, has been contacted by the Department of the Department of Health and Human Services. Excuse me, the Department of Health and Human Services has contacted the director of the Defense Secretary, Mark Esper, to provide up to 1,000 beds for people who have traveled outside of the U.S. and that are traveling back to the U.S. that may have been in places where they could have been exposed to the coronavirus. So they're asking the Pentagon to open up room for 1,000 beds for those individuals that are coming back into the United States. Now, normally, I always thought that FEMA would take care of these things or get involved with these things, but now it seems like the military now is being brought into the mix. So we'll see, I guess, within the coming days and within the coming weeks, maybe even within the coming months, what's what and what will happen and what will come of this particular virus that is contagious and that seems to be spreading. All right. Now, with that being said, let's get into today's video topic, which is the paranormal. Paranormal meaning not normal, meaning that it cannot be explained, or the paranormal meaning that it is normal. I'm sorry, that is not normal and cannot be explained scientifically. Okay, so let's go. All right, paranormal, not scientifically explainable, or it's the supernatural, as most of us call it, or that it's mostly known for. And paranormal is phenomenon such as telekinesis or clairvoyance that are beyond the scope of normal scientific understanding. So paranormal means not normal, not being able to be explained scientifically, And paranormal activity is events that are purported phenomena described in popular culture, folk, and other non scientific bodies of knowledge whose existence within these contexts is described as beyond normal experience or scientific explanation. So that's paranormal activity. And a prime example of paranormal activity is Julia Brown. Um, and Julia Brown lived back in the 1800s in Louisiana. So the Weather Channel did a special about Julia Brown. They were doing the weather phenomenon, supernatural weather. I forgot the title of the show, but they had this particular segment where they covered the story of Julia Brown and they talked about Julia Brown. And it's a very interesting story. It's a story that caught my attention, and I've been intrigued by this story ever since I heard about it and ever since I saw it on the Weather Channel. So I did some research on it, and this is what I came up with. Now, Miss Julia Brown has been known by many different names. Um, and one of the names, or a few of the names, not just one, but a few of the names that she went by. Sometimes she went by Julia White, um, or Julia Black. But I think that she was most known as Julia Brown. So now I'm planning a trip to New Orleans, Louisiana soon, because I've never been before. And this is one of the reasons why I want to go, because, I'm into this type of thing. And plus, I found out that there are a lot of interesting things there in Louisiana, such as, and of course, we all know and heard of Marie Laveau. And a lot of people, especially people in my community, they tend to turn away from it. They tend to shun supernatural phenomenon information, and voodoo priestesses such as Julia Brown and Marie Laveau, because people in my community were taught that voodoo is very evil. And believe it or not, when I was younger, I was taught the same thing. I was taught to stay away from those types of subjects and to stay away from that type of um, information. Um, because growing up, I grew up in a Christian home, so I come from a Christian background. But as I got older and I learned to research and study for myself, I found many things that just didn't set right with my soul with that. So, I mean, I think that you definitely have to be chosen, because I've seen um, posts on social media where they say that the reason why um, you have come into this knowledge is because you have been chosen. And a lot of Christians probably think that that's blasphemous. They think that is evil. But whereas Christianity teaches you to look outside of yourself for a savior, and whereas this particular knowledge teaches you that what you have everything that you need and have to have in order to help save yourself. And this is not to discourage any Christians from their Christian beliefs or their Christian faith, or any Muslims from their Muslim faith, or whatever it is that they believe in. If you come across this video, whatever it is that you believe in, it is what it is. Continue to believe in what you believe in, okay? Because that's what works for you. That's what resonates with you. But there were some things that, for me, just didn't add up, just didn't weigh out, and it just, you know, um, it was a point where I realized that, you know, it was time for me to uh, research other religions, um, other than just Christianity. And I took a look at many different religions and many different religious aspects. And I found that African spiritualism was for me. Now, getting back to voodoo. Uh, yes, voodoo can be used for evil as well as it can be used for good. So, whenever you get involved, or if you get involved with voodoo, or if someone you know is involved with voodoo or voodoo, before you start criticizing what this is, research it first. You know, Christian people, they don't research anything outside of Christianity. Christian people feel, and pretty much everyone who practices a specific religion feels as though they're on the right path, they're on the right track, and they're the ones that are going to heaven. You know, all the Christians are going to go to heaven. Well, not every Christian believes that, but Christians believe that they're on the right path, so going to heaven because they have accepted Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. Muslims believe they're going to heaven because they have accepted Allah. So if you think about it, you have all of these religions, right? It's probably over 1,000 religions. Who's right? Who's wrong? Who's to say, right? So that's why I always say go with what's in your heart, go with what you feel resonates with you, go with what you feel is right for you. I'm not encouraging or discouraging anyone in any way, form, or fashion because I believe that it takes research. I believe that it takes reading and going to different sources and finding out information um, to see if it's right for you, right? So I don't want to get too much into the religious aspect of things right now. So let's get back on this supernatural goddess, Julia Brown, right? So this is from the article, The Legend and Truth of the Voodoo Priestess Who Haunts a Louisiana Swamp. And this is by Bess Lovejoy. This article was written on, or published on October 14th, 2017. So, excuse me. So the article starts off by informing the reader about the location of where Julia Brown lived and about the location of how to get there. So it talks about the Manhawk, and I believe I'm pronouncing this right. If not, please forgive me. So if anybody from New Orleans happens to come across this video and I'm mispronouncing it, forgive me. So it talks about the Manhawk wetlands, and it's located about 30 minutes northwest of New Orleans. And the description used to describe the wetlands is that it is thick swamp ooze. So if you were to go out to where Julia Brown's former home is, you have to go through a swamp, right, in order to get there. And then the article also stated that there are a few alligators out there as well. So you have to be careful. You have to go out there with someone who is very well experienced of how to get out there. So when boaters go out there, they enter the swamps, and they said that the article says they have two major threats, which Besides sunstroke, they said, and dehydration, got to watch out for the alligators. And I thought about taking a tour out there, but that whole idea of going out there was just crushed due to the information that is here within this article. And they said that if you wanted to go out there um, and take a look around and tour, um, there were a few things that you had to know or that you needed to know, and that was one of them. So I don't think that that's going to be a tour that I'll be able to take. And I know some of you are probably asking, well, why would you want to go out there? Um, because to me, this story that I'm about to share with you all is it was so interesting, and I just wanted to, see what the area looked like, right? All right. But anywho, so it says some say that anyone entering the swamp should be more aware of a supernatural threat, the curse of local voodoo queen Julia Brown. Now, legend has it that Julia Brown put a curse on the whole town. They said that she would sit on her porch and play her guitar, and she would sing this eerie song that said that when she died, that she was going to take the whole town with her. And what was so amazing is that she did. So let's continue on um, and continue on with the article. So Brown, who is sometimes referred to as Julia White or Julia Black, is described in local legend as a voodoo priestess who lived at the edge of the swamp and worked with residents of the town of Fanier. So this is the town of Fanier, which they said is about 30 minutes from um, New Orleans. So I guess you could say she lived kind of like on the outskirts of New Orleans. And so a lot of times people would go to her for healing when they were sick because she had a lot of herbs and she knew how to use a lot of herbs um, and for different sicknesses and for different ailments. So when these people, and these were black and white people as well, who would go see this black voodoo priestess Julia Brown, she so when the townspeople couldn't get to the doctor, it was too far, they couldn't afford to go to the doctor, they would go see Miss Julia Brown. And so she was famous for her charms and her curses, as well as for singing eerie songs with her guitar on her porch. One of the most memorable songs and lyrics went like this. And this is the song that I was telling you all about earlier. The lyrics went, "One day I'm going to die and take the whole town with me." So I'm going to get into how all of that happened and how all of that came about. Um, so as time went on and as time passed, the reason why Julia Brown put a curse on the town, legend has it, is because she felt that she was being taken advantage of. She felt that the townspeople were taking advantage of her. They were always coming to her and getting these charms and I guess curses removed or having curses put on others and, getting herbs for their illnesses and their sicknesses until she just felt like she was being used and she was fed up. She was tired. So legend has it that, excuse me, I'm sorry, I have a cold. So I'm just congested and just pretty much sounding kind of bad, and I do apologize for that. Where was I? Oh yeah. So the day came when she passed away or she transitioned. So everyone in town just about showed up for her funeral. Um, some out of respect, but I think the majority of them out of fear. So, in the middle of her funeral, this terrible hurricane came, and this is around the late 1800s, I think in September. And the storm was so bad, it flooded, rained, the wind was really high. The majority of the people within the town died. Um, there was, legend has it that there was one person who lived to tell the story of what happened and how they survived. They were in the tree, and they could hear the wails and the cries of the people below them that were being drowned as they um, held on to the tree for dear life. So after the storm was over, um, it was close to 300 people who died that day. And on October 1st was when the storm was over, and Frenier, Ruddock, and Napton, and these are the little areas that were located within each other on the outskirts of New Orleans. It had been totally destroyed. So, and the storm took place on, excuse me, I said it was in the 1800s, but the storm took place on September 28th, 1915. And it was over by October 1st, 1915. So, when they went in to assess the damages and to clean up the debris and everything, they discovered that about 300 people had died. So, and they also found out that the legend that Julia Brown had predicted, um, or the curse that she put on the town and the townspeople, came true. So, let's fast forward to present day. Now, present day, there were some developers who went out there and they tried to rebuild on the land. They tried to make the land flourish again, so that they could have hotels out there, restaurants, bars. Um, but each and every time the developers go out there to build, a storm comes and destroys everything. So on the Weather Channel, this the one developer, he talked about how, I believe it was he and his wife, they were living out on the house out there. I think it was like out on the beach, within the area of where Julia Brown once resided, and a terrible hurricane came through, destroyed everything, and so now no one really is able to build um, on the land. And hold on one second. All right, thanks guys for your patience. Sorry about that. But yes, so that is the story and the legend of Julia Brown, Julia White, Julia Black. She went by all of those names. So, in short, she was fed up with the town's people taking advantage of her, as the legend goes. And so she put a curse on the townspeople, and that's what happened. That's that. In short, so then, and the name of the show on the Weather Channel is American Supernatural. So that is the title of the Weather Channel series. Um, so thank you guys so much for taking the time out to watch this video and taking the time out to check out my channel. So I will be back with more current event news stories, most likely tomorrow on Sunday. So stay tuned, and I will chit chat with you guys later. Peace, love, blessings, and good vibes.